S&P sinking 0.62%, and the Nasdaq giving up 0.43%. We judge the future negative. But how do we reach that judgment? How do we reach that point total? It's almost like a sports match expressed arithmetically. Don't roll your eyes. I'm going to make it easy. Each day starts at 0, meaning the averages would be flat if nothing happens with individual companies or with governments and central banks. That's the so-called micro, the companies, and the macro, which is the government. So we got a flat line here, okay? That's how every day starts. Of course, something does happen every day, which is why we are almost never flat. Typically on days when some government or central bank squawks a bit of news or issues some sort of data. So let's just presume we're never going to be at 0. Then we get to earnings season and the equation changes dramatically. We get really granular. We extrapolate the heck out of each and every earnings report to predict where the averages are headed. So consider the box score from one 24-hour sports cycle using the parlance of football. Why not? It's football season, right? It'll be easy for everybody. So here's the play-by-play. First, we get earnings last night from number 8, KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza, and the number, it is dynamite. Yum's putting up restaurants all over the world, and why not, given that they have 2 restaurants per million people in the emerging market countries versus 58 stores per million here in America. China didn't slow as much as we thought, and Taco Bell tacked up 7% same-store sales growth. No wonder short sellers think that Taco Bell could be taking share from Chipotle. The stock jumped high single digits, right through the 70s. So you know what? Let's spot the bulls on the strength. On the strength of Yum, 2 touchdowns, okay? 14. Oh, like 6, so you get extra point. That's one touchdown for the surprise that China wasn't off, and a second TD for an improving U.S. and great growth prospects away from China. 14-0 is the score after Yum. But it wasn't all rosy last night. That's because Cummins, best engine maker on earth, pre-announced a hideous quarter. The company took its growth rate down big and it cited weakness in China and the U.S. Given that Cummins had already said negative things over the summer, this pre-announcement really hurt. It meant that the decline is now cascading. It's accelerating. That's negative enough. Well, sure enough, to cost the Bulls those 2 touchdowns, take away 14 points for the Bulls. And yes, everything's going to be take away or add points because remember the baseline is 0, which is where we were after the Yum Cummins shootout. Right back to 0. At the same time, we heard from Alcoa. And while the company delivered on the actual earnings note, that means the possible message to them was put the growth rate down. I didn't see the negatives that others did here because aerospace and oilers were good, while construction was bad. Nothing really new. And while China wasn't any weaker, Alcoa's excellent CEO, Klaus Kleinfeld, is talking about a very strong rebound in China for 2013. No matter what I think, though, people chose not to hear the positives, and Alcoa kicked a field goal for the Bears. So now we got the new score. Bears 3, Bulls 0, or -3 for the point purposes of our total. The news kept coming last night as we heard from Chevron in its mid-quarter update. The giant oil company totally imploded on a headline basis with a real one of those substantially worse than expected screamers. Even as I thought that the story is pretty much expected by those who actually follow the company closely, as I do, having just been selling some Chevron for ActionAlersPlus.com, my travel trust. Somehow these old facts that a hurricane, thank you Isaac, and a refinery outage in California hurt the quarter were regarded as new news. And Chevron scored another touchdown for the Bears. All right, now the score is -10 against Arlington football, as well as what we looked at as the averages. Europe proved to be a non-event. So we came into this morning session in the red. Down by 10, come on, nothing devastating, right? So the score stays at -10 after we look at Europe. I thought for a moment that we were going to have maybe a real good day because very early I saw Costco report robust numbers. Looks like consumers still very much want a bargain. Costco's giving you one. No wonder so few members are balking at the increase in membership dues. Oh, it could also have been because I've been an aggressive Costco shopper of late. Just last weekend, I jammed the aisles with not one, but 2 shopping carts worth of merchandise. I used one of those big orange ones. It was so bad that I had to let the guy behind me go ahead of me because he only had a handful of items in his cart. I was glad I did because by the time I got home, I saw at Jim Cramer on Twitter that my line compatriot tweeted what a jet I was. I'm calling Costco a field goal, okay, a field goal for the Bulls, and that's putting the score at -7, Bears advantage. And something happened that knocked the Bulls' socks off. something so devastating that I had to interrupt Squawk on the Street when I saw it. A cataclysmically awful pre-announcement by Avnet, the huge supermarket of all things tech, one that just crushed the most important sector in the S&P 500. Avnet's business is so broad and so global that you knew the day was then going to be ceded to the Bears. It was just a question of by how big a margin. Give the Bears 14 points on average. It was that devastating. 14 points. I mean, that's 2 touchdowns, right? And that's being charitable to Bulls. This is about as unexpected a pre-announcement for well-run companies you can get, as I'll explain later in the show. Uh-oh. Suddenly it's 21-0. And the game hasn't even started. So bad I'm thinking this is going to be a game like last Sunday's when the actual Chicago Bears scoring touchdowns with the defense. I tell myself the truth that there will be more countervailing news. Sure enough, there is. Walmart holding a big rah-rah meeting in Centerville, Arkansas, and the reports are outstanding. As the news filters out, the stock climbs and climbs. Considering this is the world's largest retailer, I'm awarding a Bull 7. Oh man, cut down that Bear lead. Suddenly it's only minus 14. A 2-possession game. There's hope. What's happened? Which has been an anvil around the necks of the Bulls. Suddenly has some pep in its step. Doesn't open down. It doesn't stay down. Given that Apple's been such a drag on the market, you gotta give the Bulls, let's give them a field goal. One of those David Akers 62 jobs. And now it's an 11-point game. Admittedly negative 11, but not the end of the world. There's only one problem with this analysis, and for the purposes of explanation, I'm going to absolutely shift sports entirely just for a nanosecond and talk about, you bet, bowling. Hey, dialing for dollars here. Come on, I'm trying to get you involved. You see the great numbers from Costco and Yum and Walmart? They were all in the retail sector. Every one of them. All that did was confirm something we already knew, that the consumer's still spending courtesy of the wealth effect of a stronger stock portfolio and a higher house price. Plus, that good news comes mostly because Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke is keeping rates super low, since he knows from the boss, no doubt from that Wednesday night conference that everyone was except for me, that you can't start a fire without a spark. But Cummins, Alcoa, Avnet, Chevron, if the Bulls knocked over 3 pins with the retail call, the Bears bowled a strike, taking down industrials, construction, technology, the oil. Holy cow, pins are flying everywhere! Next thing you know, a heavily mixed sports metaphors, the Bears are adding 2 touchdowns to their minus 11 advantage with this hard connection. We got a 25-point differential going into the second half. 25. Wow, that's going to be tough. Oh, no, get this. It gets worse. This was an amazing one. Remember when the market was under the impression that it was good news for stocks that Governor Romney picked the White House? Well, be careful what you wish for, partner, because today's macro conclusions from the recent Romney surge was truly a low blow. It started to dawn on people that the first thing Romney would do is fire Bernanke. And there goes QE3 with all that gasoline that pours into the retail fire. Give the Bears another couple of touchdowns. You know what? Let's make this one a truly ugly one, except for the people who took the under. Let's make it 39-0. Bears. Bottom line, we got a lopsided Bear victory today. One that requires me to take license to come up with a 129-point decline that we close with off this 39-point score. It was an ugly beatdown in the frozen timber. But here's the great thing about this game. On any given weekday, the score can change dramatically. And the same Bear squad that took it to the Bulls could get its face ripped off tomorrow. Alas, though, that's 24 hours and a ton of pain.
The house of pain.
Away from now. Robert in Arizona, Robert.
Oh yeah, Jim, enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Quick question on Boeing. What do you think, buy or sell or hold?
It's not even an issue. We're not playing buy, sell, hold with Boeing. We're playing invest in Boeing. Why is that? It's one of the greatest manufacturers in the world. We saw today that that big European merger that was supposed to hurt them so badly is not going to happen. The 787 is selling. I got to tell you something. This stock is the cheapest stock in the Dow. Why don't we go to Carlin in Arizona? Carlin.
Hey, Jim, booyah from Old Town Scottsdale in Arizona.
Man, I've been there. I went to Truro once trying to play golf. I wrecked the course. They wouldn't let me play anywhere, but that's okay. What's up?
We know that I thought you could come and visit. Well, I want to tell you, you're my most valuable asset, just like your recording says. And the reason I'm calling is the FedEx reconstruction, if that's a good investment or buy or wait.
I was thrilled. Stephanie Lee came to me the other day. She said, you know what? Look, FedEx, it is way too low. I said, yeah, let's get some for the travel. Trust me, pull the trigger. We got the stock. It ain't done. FedEx is going higher. They're taking the costs out. The bear case is over. Probably drops a couple points tomorrow, and maybe you pick some up too. All right, it turned out to be a lopsided victory for the Bears. It was brutal, I tell you. My fantasy team got shut out too. Look, on any any given Sunday, meaning on any given weekday, meaning on any given Tuesday, meaning on any given Wednesday, the game fluctuates. You know what? Tomorrow's any given Thursday. Who knows? Maybe it will go back to even. Yeah, I'm going to be back into the break.
Coming up, the anointed ones. Google, Amazon, Visa, and MasterCard. Kramer's already named these 4 stocks he believes are blessed by growth-obsessed money managers and should continue their ascent till year-end. Don't move. Jim's 4Q hot list gets 2 more sizzling momentum plays next. And later, making dough